In our last episode... Actually, this time, let's have Three Dog fill us in.
There's one place you find on a tourist map of DC and its lovely suburbs. And that's the cozy little villa known as Old Olney. Ah, but you locals, you know the place, am I right? It's become a veritable wasteland legend. Why? 'Cause it's filled with goddamn death claws. I met a guy once. Name was Johnny 12 Fingers. Had one arm. Turns out the other one was ripped off while he was scavenging in Deathclaw Central. Lucky he made it out alive. Most people don't. At least not in one piece. But wouldn't you know it, that kid from Vault 101 has once again proven the exception to the rule. My flies on the wall tell me that 101 was seen dodging death claws and gathering up as much used tech as he could carry. Just what is he up to? Is the kid looking for something to use for the Enclave or against them? And does this have something to do with the shinies from the Brotherhood of Steel, who seem poised to pounce once again? Don't you worry, children. Three Dog's got his ear to the ground and his mic on standby. Ow! As soon as I know more, you'll know more.
Now we have to head back to the Citadel to return the Tesla coil we retrieved and learn of our next assignment, tracking down Paladin Tristan.
You found a Tesla coil? Excellent. I'll see to it that this reaches the scribes immediately. You've done good work, soldier. Are you ready for your next assignment? We don't have time to spare.
I need a break. Olney was tougher than I thought.
All right, get yourself ready and report back to me. I'll be waiting. I hope you're ready for your next assignment.
Oh man, I'm still so tired. I need another nice long break.
Time is running out. If we don't take the fight to the Enclave soon, they're going to bring it to us, and that won't end well. Pull yourself together and do it fast.
Okay, I'm ready now. What's next?
Based on the data you brought us from the relay station, we've identified where the Enclave is basing their operation. It seems they have a second base of operations at Adams Air Force Base outside of D.C. The only safe way to get there is through the presidential metro used by the government before the war. You're going to be on your own again for now. The rest of the Brotherhood will be providing a distraction so you can slip in undetected. Once you breach the presidential metro and get to Adams Air Force Base, look for the resupply crate. Inside, you'll find your new orders, and hopefully we can put a working Tesla cannon into your hands.
A Tesla cannon! So that's why they needed the Tesla coil. Well, hopefully the Brotherhood scribes can develop a Tesla cannon while we're out in the field. Sounds like a toy I'd like to play with. But Paladin Tristan was telling the truth. From here on out, we are on our own. Somehow we have to fight our way to Adams Air Force Base through the pre-war presidential metro tunnels, which as far as we know, haven't been opened for 200 years. There are a few ways to get there, but the story really begins once we exit the Penn Ave/Seward Square metro station, using the gate that opens up to Pennsylvania Avenue. We arrive in an abandoned ruin street surrounded on all sides by towering ruins. The metro markers point us to the northwest. Along the way, we pass a Pulowski preservation shelter, which is currently in use. Oh, looks like this poor Protectron was afraid of the radiation. Moving west, we have to clear a few super mutants. Then continuing west, we travel a long ways down the street. We pass craters in the ground, ruined planters, until upon reaching an intersection, we see a battle going down at the end of the street. Oh! I got distracted by an Enclave vertibird flying the other way. These super mutants were attacking somebody. Getting closer. Looks like the Brotherhood. At the end of the street, we see a number of sandbag barricades. And sure enough, we see a few Brotherhood of Steel paladins. We can loot 2 ammo boxes and 2 first aid kits behind them. And moving northwest, we can stop before a fascinating pre-war sculpture, or perhaps this was a fountain, standing within the White House Plaza. The Brotherhood is here. We can loot a couple of frag mines, an ammo canister, and a first aid kit on the ground by some sandbag barricades. We see a sewer grate here. Trying to move around, we see that we're blocked by a very large fence, and huge doses of radiation emanate from the other side of the fence. Considering where we are, this being the White House Plaza, is this where the White House once stood? What happened to it? After discovering Penn Avenue Northeast, which I'll have to explore another time, we can turn around and go through that manhole to utility to continue towards the presidential metro. We arrive in a sewer tunnel. We see 2 rooms to the left and to the right. To the right, we find a bit of a workshop. There's an engine block being worked on in the middle of the room. Turning around, we can loot a first aid kit, a fridge full of boxed goods, and there's a plethora of scrap and ammunition on shelves to the east. In a wooden box on top of a filing cabinet, we can walk away with some shotgun shells and 10mm ammunition. In one of the wooden crates, we find a bottle of Buff Out, and on a work table nearby, we find a copy of Pugilism Illustrated. After looting a bottle cap mine on the workbench, we have to make a choice. Right down the sewer, or straight into the room to the west. I think west is where we're supposed to go, so we'll turn north for now. The sewer slopes downward, and at the end, we see a ramp. Oh, and what's that? A skeleton hanging from a light in the ceiling. And on the other side, we find the rest of his bones. Oh, and there's the motorcycle. We begin to see exactly what happened here. Some daredevil on a lone wanderer motorcycle built a ramp and tried to jump over this pre-war Corvega, but his head got stuck in the light, it broke his neck, and the rest of his limbs went on without him. I guess that's what happened. The path to the north is blocked, the path to the east is blocked, and the path to the west goes round a corner, but at the end is blocked. So, looks like the room to the west was the way we were supposed to go. Backtracking and passing our dead daredevil, we can turn right to move west into the next room. This brings us down a staircase, past a filled-in room to the right, where we can open a door and turn a corner to go up some stairs, which takes us west all the way up another staircase until we find a bit of a crossroads. We find scrap on a shelf to the right, a door to the left, and a darkened hallway to the west. Opening the door to the left leads us to Pennsylvania Avenue, and we discover the ruins of the White House. And we have to fight some ghouls. So this is all that's left of the White House. We see a couple of floating rubble islands here. Taking some stairs, we find a skeleton hanging off a ledge, and another one, surrounded by some right-of-way and a couple of mini nukes. Peering up, we see that building with the columns that we saw from the plaza before going down the manhole. Looks like we're on the other side of that fence. We can leap to another floating island. Here we find another skeleton. So the White House took a direct hit. We see the columns that formed the colonnades designed by architect James Hoban, scattered around the ruin. We know from the events of Fallout 2 that the president wasn't here when the bombs dropped. Even the West Wing had been abandoned by the time of the Great War. So the skeletons we find here belong to the workers and caretakers left behind to care for it while the government was away. I guess you could call them a skeleton crew. We can loot a fat man here. I don't know where it was because Fox picked it up. I discovered it on his inventory later while he was trying to use it. And the only place he could have gotten it was here at the White House. We've got a job to do. Where we find a White House, the president's home, we'll find the presidential metro. So after we finish our sightseeing, we can open the door back to the utility tunnel. This leaves one path forward, to turn west and open a door to the right to the presidential sublevel. On the other side of the door, we travel down a hallway, turn left, go down some stairs, and turn right into a larger room. We see a staircase going down and a shelf to the northeast. On the shelf, we find some children's toys in a box, one of which is a red ball. Another box covering a bucket, and inside the bucket, another ball, this one a basketball. Tipping over the stew pot. Okay, nothing else inside there. Oh, look at that. A bunch of baseballs. Wow, this is the corner of balls, everybody. Oh, and on the shelf, a pool ball. It's the number 10. We see a cutting board hiding whatever's in this bin. Oh, a teddy bear. We'll take that for little Marie. One more box. Oh, more balls. I'm drowning in balls here, people. All right, we're done. Moving out, we can take the staircase down. Rounding a corner, we pass some machinery. We see a shelf over here covered in scrap. Ooh, no balls. Thank God. Continuing down the hallway, we arrive at the presidential metro. Turning left and rounding the corner. Oh, a sentry bot. I think it saw me. Yep. This must be where people queued up to ride the metro. We see elevators here that likely went up to the various governmental buildings above. There's a statue here. Oh, Thomas Jefferson. Looks exactly like the one in the middle of the Jefferson Memorial. Turning around, yep, another Thomas Jefferson. Yep, even says so right there on the pedestal. Lots of Jefferson love here. Out of the elevator room, we can go through a door to the south. Looks like this was security. We find a first aid kit on a wall next to a window overlooking the elevators. There's an ammo canister here, some clipboards lying around, a Nuka-Cola truck and some bottles to the northeast, and another bin up here. Tried hopping up there. What is this? Ooh, a stash of pre-war money. What were these security guards doing with all this pre-war money? Uh-oh, a little bit of corruption I'm detecting. There's an ammo canister on the ground next to a filing cabinet. And when done, we can move out of security and continue south through a door, down a staircase, left around a corner, and down another staircase that leads to another statue-lined hallway. Here we find more statues of Thomas Jefferson. Wow. They really revered Thomas Jefferson. These statues are in various states of ruin. Only one was whole, and we find shredded pre-war American flags. Up! Okay, looks like pre-war security is still active here. Crouching down, we can move north into the next room to kill a turret.
Run out.
Where are we? Looking around. Whoa! What is that? Who was that supposed to be? Man, pre-war America in the Fallout universe really loved their impressive stone faces. I could be wrong, but this is the first time I can think of that I've seen this particular face. But I'm not sure if it has any significance. My bet is that this is the face of the last elected president of the United States, who is unnamed in the Fallout universe. It would make sense that we find his face here in the presidential metro 200 years later after the bombs dropped, since they dropped during his tenure. Okay, so the way we came was White House. That led to White House East. We need to find the path that leads to the Adams Air Force Base. Turning around, we see some tracks. White House West and Adams Air Force Base. We see a skeleton on a bench with blood spatter on the wall behind. He must have been one of the security guards. We see another rare police hat lying here. Man, they really wanted to give us some police hats with broken steel. And a revolver. There's a cigarette in his skeletonized hand. A security guard committed suicide while enjoying a final smoke. But moving east, we see that the tracks are all buried in with rubble. We can't go this way. Oh, where are you going, buddy? He was all packed and ready to go, but then the tracks caved in. Well, it looks like we've got one path forward, to go through the doors to the north in hopes of finding another path leading to Adams Air Force Base. At the end of the hall, we open some double doors. Let's see, what have we got here? Another sentry bot. Well, Fox was looking pretty intimidating with that fat man he picked up at the White House, but he didn't actually fire it. What's the deal, Fox? Checking his inventory, he does have a mini nuke. I gave him a big stack of all the mini nukes I was carrying, hoping he would use the fat man. We'll see if he does. Moving into the next room, we find another track. Let's see, where does this lead? Capitol, to the right. Well, moving left, we see the train still on the track. Nothing in the first car, but in the second car we find a skeleton. There are 2 empty footlockers behind him, and some food on the ground, but nothing much else. Nothing on the other platform, and the path to the west is blocked in with rubble. Well, this makes the decision easy. We've got to go east, but this leads towards the capital. Perhaps we'll find another path this way. As we walk, we hear a voice.
Note that it is against the law to inhibit or interfere with any of the residential metro security units.
Sounds like some sort of pre-recorded announcement still playing after all this time. Oh, hey! Whoa, he's moving fast. Come on, help, Fox. We could use your fat man. No? Anytime, buddy. Alright, I don't know what his problem is here, but he's just not using the fat man. Continuing northeast, we walk for a while until we see a flickering light. Oh, that's awful. Looks like this guy was a pre-war utility worker. He climbed up this ladder to do repairs on the rails, only to be electrocuted to death. Oh, what a way to go. Oh, and he even had mentats on the ground next to him. Looks like he didn't take enough. There's a ham radio here, wired to a nearby generator, which is odd. Maybe this wasn't an accident. Maybe this guy was trapped here after the bombs dropped, was trying to get a hold of someone, anyone on the ham radio, and when he just couldn't take it anymore, climbed the ladder and died. Horrible either way. Continuing east, we see a door to the right, and east is blocked in with rubble. Alright, so we've got to go back and open the door to the south. This leads us back into a utility room. There's a staircase to the left, and we find a Nuka-Cola machine to the right. Here we can walk away with a stack of Nuka-Cola. Turning around, we can move to the bench to the east. Here we find a bunch of microfusion cells and a bunch of pulse grenades. After looting a first aid kit on the ground, we can turn around and take the staircase down to the next level. We arrive in a room with the doors already open. There are a number of containers to loot in this room, and when done, we can go through the double doors to the south.
The Metro Theater Group production of Subway, originally scheduled for November 4th, 2077, has been postponed.
I couldn't find any record of a musical or play called Subway, so that must be unique to the Fallout universe. Oh, what's that? Another ceiling-mounted turret. Can't be too careful. Turning around, we can explore what's over here first. We still see blood spattered all over the ground, especially under this guy. He's got his hat nearby and a briefcase, but there's something on top of the briefcase. A Senate employee ID. And what if that'll become useful later? Looks like this way is blocked off. We have to turn around and move east.
The Metro Transit Authority would like to extend its very best to our soldiers fighting abroad and wishes them a safe and speedy return.
It's a strange voice for them to choose for a recording. You'd think they would just pre-record a happy feminine voice, but no. This one sounds almost robotic. Okay, White House West, White House East Wing, Adams, Air Force Base to the right. All right, we found another way to Adams. Ow! Oh, 2 of them! Anytime, Fox. Okay, Fox, give me that. If you're not going to use it, I will.
Take this!
Ah! All right. Yeah, you stick with what you're good at, Fox. I'll take over the tactical nuclear explosions. Okay. Turning right, we see some stairs leading up, but they're blocked in with rubble. Yeah, no path up there. So moving east, we can loot the sentry bots we destroyed. We see a door to the south. This leads to a bit of an office, a number of filing cabinets, and on a desk we find the Maintenance Department Terminal. Presidential Metro System Maintenance Logs. Log entry AK 1978-96. Mechanic DT. We got the new Sentinel unit up and running today. Pretty badass. Not only does it have maintenance capabilities so I can remote command it to do repairs, but it also is a great riot suppression unit, and we can use it if we ever have any protesters break in down here again. Finally, a worthwhile addition to the robot fleet. Really interesting that he mentions the pre-war protests. We already know from established Fallout lore that due to the fossil fuel shortages, which led to food shortages, there was widespread urban protesting. In the next one, Mechanic DT. Oh, today was a beauty. I was called up to the senatorial lounge near the White House station, and someone decided to make a political statement by spray painting graffiti all over the walls inside the lounge containing more than a fair share of Chinese racial slurs. They must have broken in while it was closed and did the damage. Hooray for security. They really dropped the ball on this one. Never send a robot to do a man's job, I say. I spent the better part of the day scrubbing walls clean of that filth and installing new fixtures. Joy. Huh. Interesting to find a guy here in pre-war America who was so offended by Chinese racial slurs. The racial slurs themselves are not entirely unexpected. We know that there was anti-Chinese sentiment going on in America at the time. Some Chinese Americans were sent to detention centers. But despite that, looks like there are still a few gems in the Fallout universe who disapproved of such things. Either that or you just didn't like cleaning up the graffiti. In the next one, Mechanic DT. After debating for a few days, the powers that be decided to change out the vocal interface on the M.A.R.Go.T mainframe from male to female. Why? So they can give it a cute acronym and name it M.A.R.Go.? Then they can trot it around for the press so we can all see where our hard-earned taxpayer dollars went. Wow, what a colossal waste of my time. Now I have to pull the mainframe circuit array and flush the memory all to get a new voice installed. Great. Just great. Oh, this poor guy. But wait a minute. M.A.R.Go.T mainframe? You had to change the vocal interface from male to female. That voice we heard over the speakers there, that was a female voice. Could that be the M.A.R.Go.T mainframe he was talking about? In the next one, Mechanic DT, the switch track over between Adams Air Force Base and the White House main line is sticking again. I've dispatched a crew to repair it. I expect the line to be shut down no more than maybe a day. We can shunt all the trains to the alternate inbound line and just run them on half schedule or something for now. Just a suggestion. Oh, is his boss reading these? If so, I wonder why he felt it was an appropriate place to complain. And in the final one, Mechanic DT. We're still having a bit of trouble getting the new SYLO2 M.A.R.Go.T mainframe adapted to our train drive systems down here. It's going to take another 72 hours to get it fully up and running. I've been pulling triple shifts for the past 2 days already, and the supervisors are constantly on our backs blaming us for the delays, when they bought an incompatible system. I wish that I could get to sleep and just get this over with. This is only high school bullcrap. I'm lost, I'm freaking, and everyone knows. Everybody's watching. Gosh, this poor guy. Everybody's watching? Paranoid. Although, we did see all those cameras on the walls while we were walking here. Behind this terminal, we find a first aid kit on the wall. And after looting the containers, we can head out and continue east. Along the way, we see another corpse on the ground. A lead pipe, a revolver, and some money. Looks like a mugging gone bad. And then another sentry bot. Hey, it's endgame. I just realized I have almost a stack of 80 of these things, and I'm gonna use them. Moving forward, we see some bins on the ground with clipboards and books by some more statues of Thomas Jefferson. The path continues to the south, and we see some doors to the east. Crossing the tracks, we can open the doors. What is this? Oh, okay. Let's take care of those turrets first. But, they're not attacking. Ooh, this one's even green. Huh. Walking up to this console.
Warning. Unauthorized personnel will not be tolerated in the presidential metro. Please access this workstation and identify yourself.
It's M.A.R.Go. All right, but you know what? Let's take this out. Last thing I need is it to turn hostile while I'm talking with this computer. Okay, so this is Margo. Let's see if DT ever got the thing fully integrated.
Warning. Due to a major security breach, this system is on code red. Alert status. Prepare for security check. Attempting to identify local access user. Identification failed. This access point is restricted only to authorized personnel. Please identify yourself.
It's none of your business who I am.
That statement is erroneous. This is a highly restricted area, and all personnel must possess proper identification. Please provide proper identification, or I will be forced to summon security units and lock out this access point. Repeating query. Please identify yourself.
Why does it matter?
Unauthorized personnel pose a potential threat to the presidential metro system. Therefore, anyone accessing this system must be identified. Repeating query. Please identify yourself.
I'm just wandering through.
Your answer is not acceptable. This is a high security area. Your presence in this area is a direct violation of U.S. Security Statute A567/B. Please provide proper identification, or I will be forced to summon security units and lock out this access point.
I'm looking for the tunnels to the Adams Air Force Base.
Information on the internal layout of the presidential metro system is for authorized personnel only. Please provide proper identification, or I will be forced to summon security units and lock out this access point. Repeating query. Please identify yourself.
From here, there are a number of ways for her to turn hostile. We can say, please, I just want to get to the Adams Air Force Base. Or we can say, why am I wasting time talking to you? You're just a stupid machine. Or we can say, look, I just stumbled across this place. I don't know what you're talking about. But all three lead to the same response.
That is not proper identification. You are in direct violation of U.S. Security Statute A567/B. Security is now being summoned. Have a nice day.
And this is why we destroyed the turrets. But then Mr. Gutsy spawns behind us. Or, if we don't want to turn her hostile, we can try to pass a speech check to say, I'm from the United States Army, and I'm here to provide assistance. But if we fail...
Fluctuations in your vocal tones indicate your statements are fallacious. Further attempts at deception will result in immediate response by security forces. Repeating query. Please identify yourself.
But if we succeed...
Scanning memory array. Request to U.S. Army for assistance was rendered 17 years, 26 days, 9 hours, and 16 minutes ago. Information regarding request is available in my database. How may I assist you today?
Or we can pass a science check to say, override security parameters, assign current user highest clearance.
Please stand by. Override accepted. Clearance assigned. How may I assist you today?
Or, if we found the Senate ID card on the briefcase by the skeleton in that train car, we find an option to say, I'm a United States Senator. Here's my identification.
Identity verified. Welcome. How may I assist you today?
I'd like more information on this security breach.
Information is available on that subject. Please specify.
I need more details. what's the breach all about?
Internal visual sensing equipment is detecting numerous unidentified persons in the southeast tunnels area. The individuals have damaged Metro equipment and refused dialogue with our security units. In accordance with U.S. Security Statute A567/B, the use of deadly force has been authorized.
Can you tell me more about these unidentified persons?
My apologies. My sensing equipment in that area must be damaged. My equipment indicates the persons possess no internal body heat and are emitting lethal levels of radiation.
Ah, sounds like ghouls. Oh, fun. Well, what security units did you send in to stop the unidentified persons?
This system is able to command a large number of mechanized security units. So far, 22% of these robotic units have been depleted on the breach.
So what exactly did these unidentified things damage in here?
One of the main power relays for the Adams Air Force Base line has been disrupted by the forced removal of a main fuse. I have a replacement part on our main Sentinel unit, but I cannot risk the repair until the breach is dealt with.
Could you repair the train to Adams Air Force Base?
Negative. Repairs are currently impossible on the Adams Air Force Base train line. If the security breach is nullified, I will return to green status and allow the Sentinel unit to commence repairs.
Okay. Well, I need more information about the Adams Air Force Base.
Information is available on that subject. Please specify.
How do I use these tunnels to get to the base?
Access to the train line to Adams Air Force Base is currently impossible due to a security breach in the southeast tunnels. The breach has caused damage to the train line as well, and it must be repaired before it can be utilized.
Has anyone else ever used these tunnels to the base?
The last recorded person to use that line was approximately 200 years and 8 months ago. The tunnel and active train car have been sealed for safety ever since catastrophic damage to this facility was detected.
Wow, so we really are the first people here in over 200 years. How many Enclave forces are at the base?
My apologies. I have no record of Enclave in my memory array.
Oh, right. The Enclave is made from America's pre-war government. They didn't start calling themselves the Enclave until after the war, so Margo wouldn't know. I'd like for you to deactivate all of your security units.
Negative. All security units must remain active at all times. However, upon properly accessing this system, you have been marked as a friendly and should see no further hostility from said units.
Oh, well, that's good at least. So from here on out, they'll be on our side. Well, I'd like to know more about you, actually, Margo.
Information is available on that subject. Please specify.
What does your name stand for?
M.A.R.Go. is an acronym for the Metro Authority Rapid Governmental Transit System.
I see. Yeah, that would be a mouthful. What's your job down here?
My primary function is to maintain security for the residential metro system and ensure the safety of all its passengers. I was installed and activated within the presidential metro on April 14th, 2065, and switched on at precisely 5:20 a.m. I have been carrying out this primary function since that inception date.
So DT's terminal entries were all the way from before 2065? That means his log entries were already 12 years old by the time the bombs dropped. I'm surprised that those entries are the ones we still find all these years later. This helps us put a date at those riots that DT was telling us about, which fits perfectly with Fallout lore. There was extreme fuel rationing at that time. America and the world were still heavily dependent upon fossil fuels, with the world's governments all arguing over the last known cache. Margot, do you know anything regarding the war that happened 200 years ago?
While I am not privy to current or past events due to severance of my communications system, I am aware a situation must have occurred. However, as long as I am still able to function, my directive remains unchanged. I will amend my memory array with the information you have provided.
So then you must realize everything on the surface is gone.
That information appears congruous with the information you have already provided. However, such an event does not change my primary function.
Everyone's dead, you stupid tin can!
Your candor in this matter is not productive, but unsurprising if the situation on the surface is exactly as you have described. As for my primary function, I will continue to execute its instructions for as long as necessary, or until I am no longer able to carry out this task.
Suit yourself. Seems like a waste of time.
This unit has been successfully carrying out its primary function for over 200 years. My primary function is paramount to any other function and must be followed until I am no longer able to perform the task.
That seems admirable, but hardly necessary.
My core central processing and logic unit has many variables and opportunities for independent thought and learning. However, my primary function is paramount to any other function and must be followed until I am no longer able to perform the task. I appreciate your concern regarding this matter and have noted and filed it in my memory array.
What else is going on down here?
Status reports for the presidential metro system and the current security status are available, as well as a self-status report on my own system.
All right, give me your self-status report.
I am currently functioning at 78% capacity, which is well within acceptable operating parameters. The following systems are non-operative or damaged: surface visual systems and communications uplink to White House and Police Department. There is additional partial damage to my internal sensing devices and numerous severed data lines.
How about the presidential metro system status report?
This complex has sustained catastrophic damage and is only functioning at 22% of its full capability. The main fuse for the power relay in the Adams Air Force Base tunnel has been forcibly removed, damaging the system. Maintenance on this system is currently impossible due to the security breach.
All right, then let me hear the security status report.
Outer doors to the surface are no longer secured, and external security defenses are down. There is a major breach in the southeast tunnels, and security units are currently handling the situation. Logging out. Have a good day.
Well, so we know that a train to the Adams Air Force Base exists, but before we can board it, we've got to help Margot and the security here rid the metro tunnels of all of the unwanted visitors. After looting a couple of shelves, we can go around Margot. We see a door to the east. That's probably where we need to go, but let's finish exploring this wing first. Going all the way around Margot, we find a shelf to the northwest. Here we find some buff out on the ground. Then back out to the tracks, we can see what's south down the tracks. And here we find a troubling scene. Oh no, what's this? 2 teddy bears tied to the tracks, and they're holding a sign, "Help us!" And in front of them, an evil garden gnome with a camera taking photographs. "Oh, gnome, have you no mercy?" "All right, bears, time to get rescued. I know a little girl who'd take good care of you." After rescuing the teddy bears, we see that this is a dead end, so we have to head all the way back to M.A.R.Go., go around, and out the doors to the east. We arrive in a room littered with ghoul corpses. Moving north. Okay, so robotic security is hard at work, and they're friendly. We'll focus on the ghouls. Oh, these reavers, man. With the tracks clear, we can explore a bit. Back to the room we came out of, we can loot a first aid kit on the wall. Moving west down the tracks, we find another dead security guard with another lead pipe on the ground. We can loot another rare police hat. Turning around to continue. Oh no, they're back! Gosh, they just keep coming. There's an island in this little triangle between these 3 tracks. Inside we find a bit of scrap, but not much else. The tracks to the west are a dead end. They continue to the southeast and the northeast. Moving northeast first, we see a lot of damage. The walls on either side are caving in. There is one staircase to the left filled in with rubble, and we find the end of this path filled in with rubble. At the very end, we find a skeleton with some mentats and rataway. This leaves only one path left, and that's to take the metro tracks to the southeast. Stepping over all of the ghoul bodies, we pass a fence to the right. We heard what sounded like a train drive by, but as you saw, nothing happened. I read elsewhere that a metro train is supposed to drive down these tracks and run over the ghouls, but for some reason it just never appeared in my game. I reloaded a couple of times to see if I could capture it, and it just never arrived. There's a wooden box here, and inside we can find a Nuka-Cola. Continuing south, we pass by an equipment room to the left. Inside we can loot a cabinet with a laser pistol and ammo inside. There's a laser rifle leaning against the wall in a corner. Then down a hallway, we find an equipment room with a bunch of shelves. There's a Nuka-Cola Quantum at the top of a shelf to the right, and then a bunch of junk and scrap in all the other containers. We find a door to the east, which leads to another system of tracks. We'll have to come back and explore this. Turning around, we can loot a first aid kit on the wall and then back out to the tracks to take them southwest. As we continue, we find some psycho on the ground, another dismembered skeleton, and then passing a leak pouring from the ceiling, we arrive at a dead end where a ceiling collapsed and trapped a train car. In the rubble, we find some pulse grenades lying next to a power fist being worn by a skeleton. When done exploring, we can head back to the equipment room and this time head out the doorway to the east. We see 2 paths, one going north and one going south. Heading north first, we see that this is the dead end, so turning around we can go south. Along the way, he dropped out of this hole in the ceiling. Oh, but we can't get up there. Looks like nothing is up there. Continuing south, we see some glowing red lights. We see doors to a subway to the southeast and a staircase to the Capitol building to the west. Before exploring either, let's take this track as far south as we can go. But this just ends in another dead end. Next, we'll turn west and try to take that staircase up to the Capitol. Here we find a bench, and lying on the bench, the skeleton of a woman with some jet and a holotape. Sorry, my darling.
If someone finds this, please get this to my lover at the M.A.R.Go.T Hotel in East Georgetown. He'll want to hear what I have to say, my darling. They found me. I tried to get away so we could be together once again. I know you risked your life to get it to me. Combing the ruins, avoiding the super mutants. All for me. It seems I shall never lay my eyes upon your gift. You'll have to keep it and remember me every time you see it. I'm so sorry, my darling. So sorry I've let you down. So many have died for this thing. So many hearts have been broken. Please remember, I'll always love you. You will be with me forever in my spirit. I love you.
This holotape starts an unmarked quest that sends us back out into the wasteland, so sadly we don't have time to complete it today. It deserves its own video, which we'll tackle in an upcoming video. Turning around, we see a door to the Capitol building east entrance, but it's locked and requires a key. We know where this door goes, though. We discovered that door in my video on the Capitol building that you can watch here. Before going east, we can head back to M.A.R.Go. And tell her that we've killed all the ghouls.
Welcome back. How may I assist you today?
Any update on that security breach?
The previously reported breach has been suppressed. The metro system is now functioning within normal parameters.
Good to hear. So heading all the way back, we can go through the big double doors to the east to arrive at what appears to be a functional subway car. We see a door to the north, but this requires a key. There's a door to the east. This leads to a bit of an office. We find some desks, containers, an ammo canister on the ground, and a first aid kit on the wall. Then moving back to the tracks and heading south, we see some more containers to the southwest, and a power box on the wall to the south. Instead of killing all of the ghouls, another way to get this train working is to replace the missing fuse in this fuse box. The correct fuse is being held by a uniquely named Presidential Metro Sentinel unit. We can either destroy it to get the fuse, then we can manually put it back in the fuse box to restore power. But if we choose this option, the security robots turn hostile again. Oh no! Ah! Those previously locked doors we saw open up, and 2 more sentry bots rush us. Not an optimal solution. Or if he survives the ghoul attack, he'll put it back in this box on his own. Turning around, we can head into one of these cars. Taking the northern car, we can activate the Metro console. Oh, right. We're at the end of the line. Okay, we need to go to the other car. Heading to the southern car, we can activate the Metro console. With that, we arrive at the Adams Air Force Base Station. We are now in Enclave territory, for the Air Force Base is directly above us. We'll climb the stairs and infiltrate the Adams Air Force Base in my next episode. I publish many Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss the next episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you feel like you're still missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.